Did you know that in 2025, more than two-thirds of Australians are crammed into just 5 major cities? That's right. Despite having one of the largest land masses in the world, Australia is now facing an urban overcrowding crisis like never before. From soaring rent prices to traffic that never moves, everyday life in many cities has turned into a daily struggle. In fact, in some places it's gotten so bad that families are waiting up to 12 months just to find a place to rent. Trains are so full that commuters are left behind on platforms, and schools are adding temporary classrooms just to keep up with enrolments. But which cities are suffering the most? And why are people still moving there despite all the chaos? Is it the promise of better jobs, a dreamy coastal lifestyle, or just lack of options? In this video, we'll take you through 10 Australian cities that are completely overcrowded in 2025. And we're not just throwing names around. We'll back it up with real numbers, urban studies, and first-hand accounts from people living through the pressure. Some of these cities might surprise you. And if you live in one of them, you might already be feeling the squeeze, whether it's in your rent, your commute, or your mental health. Stick around, because what we're about to reveal may change the way you see Australia's so-called most livable places. Number 10. Sunshine Coast. Once known as a laid-back beach paradise, the Sunshine Coast has become one of the fastest-growing regions in Australia, and it's bursting at the seams. In just the last few years, the Sunshine Coast has seen a population surge of over 20%, driven by people fleeing the chaos of major cities in search of a more peaceful life. But ironically, this escape has become the very thing creating chaos here too. Locals now report that the once quiet roads are turning into parking lots during peak hours. Trying to get from Caloundra to Maroochydore, a 25-minute drive, can now take up to an hour during the school run. And don't even get started on the hospitals. Emergency wait times have doubled, and finding a GP appointment is like winning the lottery. What used to be a hidden gem is now a hotspot under pressure. And it's not just the roads or hospitals, even schools are running out of space, with portable classrooms popping up like mushrooms after rain. But why the sudden crowd? The Sunshine Coast offers a stunning lifestyle, with world-class beaches, a relaxed vibe, and a growing tech scene. But with more people comes more demand, and infrastructure just hasn't kept up. Rents have skyrocketed, and locals are starting to feel pushed out of their own communities. Is this paradise lost, or can the Sunshine Coast find a way to grow without collapsing under its own popularity? Number 9. Newcastle. Just a decade ago, Newcastle was seen as Sydney's quieter cousin, affordable, easygoing, and tucked away from the fast-paced madness of the big city. But not anymore. In 2025, Newcastle has become a victim of its own charm. With Sydney becoming almost impossible to afford, thousands of people have packed up and headed north, turning Newcastle into one of the most overcrowded regional cities in Australia. Here's the shocking part. In the last 5 years, over 50,000 new residents have moved to the area. That's like adding an entire suburb out of nowhere, and it's pushed everything to the limit. Traffic congestion is at an all-time high, with commuters reporting double the travel time just to get into the city centre. The roads were never designed for this kind of population boom, and it shows: potholes, delays, and not enough public transport. And then there's the housing crisis. Rents have jumped by nearly 30%, and buying a home, nearly impossible unless you're coming in with city-sized savings. Locals are being priced out, and the dream of a peaceful coastal life is slipping away. Even beaches, yes, beaches are now overcrowded. Weekends feel more like festivals than relaxing escapes. Locals say it's harder to find a parking spot at the beach than at the shopping mall. So, while Newcastle still holds on to its coastal beauty and tight-knit vibe, the strain of overcrowding is starting to show in the streets, in the homes, and even in the hearts of long-time residents. Number 8. Geelong. Geelong used to be Victoria's best-kept secret, a peaceful bayside city with affordable homes, wide open spaces, and a relaxed community vibe. But that secret's out, and the city is now overflowing. Thanks to Melbourne's skyrocketing living costs, Geelong has seen an explosion of new residents over the past few years. In fact, since 2020, The city's population has grown by nearly 40%, making it one of the fastest growing regional cities in the country. On paper, it sounds great. More people, more jobs, more development. But the reality? Geelong is struggling to breathe. The daily train from Geelong to Melbourne used to be calm and spacious. Now, it's standing room only, and that's if you're lucky enough to squeeze in. Trains are packed, roads are clogged, and what was once a smooth 20-minute drive can stretch past an hour. Then there's housing. Property prices have surged and rents have followed. Locals, especially younger families, are being pushed to the outer edges or out of the city altogether. Schools are hitting capacity. Medical services are overwhelmed. The infrastructure just wasn't built for this kind of pressure. Even recreational areas like the waterfront and Eastern Beach are getting crowded. On sunny weekends, it's hard to find a spot to sit, let alone enjoy the serenity that Geelong was once famous for. Geelong is now at a crossroads. Can it keep up with its new popularity, or will the very qualities that made it appealing be lost to overdevelopment? Number 7. Adelaide, once labelled as Australia's sleepy city, Adelaide has now fully woken up, and it's crowded. Over the past few years, Adelaide has transformed from a quiet, underrated destination into a hotspot for interstate movers, international students, and tech startups. The reason? Affordable housing, a booming education sector, and a relaxed lifestyle that seems like a dream compared to the East Coast chaos. But dreams have a tendency to attract people. And now Adelaide is bursting at the seams. Since 2020, the city has added over 120,000 new residents, and it's starting to show. The roads are packed. Parking in the city? Forget it. Public transport is overwhelmed, and buses often skip stops because they're already full. And don't even try to get a spot in the CBD during lunch hours. It's like a mini Melbourne on a Friday afternoon. Housing, once Adelaide's crown jewel, is now slipping away. Rents are rising fast, especially near universities and inner suburbs. Local families are being pushed to the outskirts, creating new urban sprawl and stretching city services even thinner. Even hospitals and clinics are feeling the pressure. Waiting times have doubled and staff shortages make it worse. Schools are enrolling beyond their limits, and some suburbs are now being labelled as overpopulated zones. What's ironic? Many people came to Adelaide for a slower, calmer life. But with this level of growth, that peace is becoming harder and harder to find. Adelaide might still be charming, but overcrowding is starting to chip away at its appeal. Number 6. Gold Coast, golden beaches, year-round sunshine, and a party vibe. The Gold Coast has long been Australia's playground, but in 2025, it's become a playground that's way too crowded. Once a top spot for weekend getaways, the Gold Coast is now a full-time home for hundreds of thousands, and more are coming every month. Why? Because people want lifestyle, warmth, and affordability compared to Brisbane or Sydney. But there's a catch. The city's growth has completely outpaced its capacity. In just 5 years, the Gold Coast population has ballooned by over 150,000 people. That's like adding an entire small city on top, without enough new roads, schools, or hospitals to support it. Locals now describe daily life as a constant traffic jam. The Pacific Motorway is a nightmare, especially during school runs or holiday seasons. And let's talk about beaches, the thing the Gold Coast is most famous for. On weekends, it's wall-to-wall towels and umbrellas, with barely a space to breathe. Rent prices have soared, especially in beachside suburbs like Burleigh, Surfers Paradise, and Palm Beach. Even outer suburbs like Coomera and Helensvale are no longer cheap, they're just crowded. Public schools are overflowing. Emergency rooms are backed up. And finding a rental? You're up against dozens of applicants for each property. The Gold Coast still offers beauty and lifestyle, no doubt. But overcrowding has turned paradise into a pressure cooker. And as we climb up this list, the next cities face even more severe urban chaos. We've poured days into research, writing, and editing to bring you this insight-packed video. Now it's your turn. Share your thoughts in the comments and hit subscribe with just one click to support more content like this. Number 5. Canberra. You'd think Australia's capital would be built to handle pressure, right? Think again. Canberra, known for its wide streets, roundabouts and government buildings, is now facing an overcrowding crisis that's catching everyone off guard. Originally designed for around 100,000 people, Canberra is now home to well over 500,000, and that number is climbing fast. As public servants, university students and young families flood in, the city is straining under the weight of its own popularity. Here's the kicker. Housing availability is at an all-time low. Rental vacancies are under 1% and competition is fierce. People are offering 6 months' rent in advance just to secure a place. It's no longer just about affordability, it's about whether you can even find a roof over your head. Then there's the traffic. Yes, even in Canberra. Once praised for its easy driving, locals now face congested roads, especially around Gungahlin and Tuggeranong. Public transport? Still lagging behind demand, and the light rail isn't expanding fast enough to help. Healthcare services are also under pressure. Emergency departments are overflowing, and GP clinics are turning people away due to a lack of capacity. What's shocking is that this was all avoidable. For years, Canberra flew under the radar, but its sudden rise has created problems the city was never built to solve. A planned city it may be, but 2025 Canberra is feeling anything but prepared. Stay with us, because the top 4 cities ahead have taken overcrowding to a whole new level. Number 4. Perth. Perth was once Australia's best-kept secret, a stunning city perched on the western edge, far from the hustle and bustle of the East Coast. But in 2025, the secret's out, and Perth is now seriously overcrowded. Driven by mining booms, job opportunities, and a coastal lifestyle that rivals anywhere in the world, Perth has attracted a massive influx of new residents. Since the pandemic, the city has grown by over 200,000 people, and it's pushing everything and everyone to their limits. Let's start with traffic. Perth's road system, once known for smooth sailing, is now clogged with bumper-to-bumper congestion, especially on routes like the Kwinana Freeway and Mitchell Freeway. Public transport hasn't caught up either. The train lines are overloaded, and buses? Often packed to the point where people are left waiting for the next one. Housing? A full-blown crisis. Rent prices have jumped over 35%, and home buyers are entering bidding wars that were once unheard of in Western Australia. Suburbs like Baldivis and Ellenbrook are swelling, but infrastructure development is struggling to keep up. Even schools and healthcare are feeling the pinch. Class sizes are growing, and wait times at public hospitals have become frustratingly long, leaving locals wondering what happened to their once laid-back lifestyle. What's heartbreaking is that Perth's unique charm, space, serenity, and affordability is now under threat. As the city races to accommodate its booming population, many are asking, is Perth losing what made it special? We're heading into the top 3 now, and trust us, the overcrowding stories there are next-level intense. Number 3. Brisbane. Brisbane was once the relaxed alternative to Sydney and Melbourne. Sunny skies, affordable living, and a slower pace of life. But in 2025, that reputation is fading fast as the city struggles with a population boom that's gone out of control. Since the early 2020s, Brisbane has welcomed nearly 400,000 new residents, largely due to interstate migration. People from the southern states flocked here for better weather, cheaper housing, and a lifestyle reboot. But the result? One of the worst overcrowding spikes in the country. Let's start with transport. The Bruce Highway and Gateway Motorway are now daily battlegrounds. What used to be a 30-minute commute is now closer to an hour, if you're lucky. Trains and buses are packed, delayed, and frequently over capacity. And the housing market? A complete shake-up. Brisbane's rent prices have jumped nearly 40% since 2021, and vacancy rates have dropped below 1%. Suburbs like Logan, Ipswich, and Springfield are rapidly expanding, but services aren't keeping up. Even basic things like enrolling your child in school or seeing a doctor have become a challenge. Schools are stretched thin, with portable classrooms everywhere. Public hospitals are hitting capacity, with patients waiting hours just to be seen. Locals say the Brisbane they knew is starting to disappear, replaced by high-rise apartments, endless construction, and urban stress. The Sunshine State's capital is under stormy pressure, and there's no sign of relief anytime soon. Up next, the final two cities on this list, and believe us, they're facing full-scale urban meltdowns. Number 2. Melbourne. Melbourne, once voted the world's most livable city, amatus, is now struggling just to stay livable at all. In 2025, Melbourne's population has soared past 5.5 million, and the city is officially in overcrowding mode. What was once celebrated for its culture, coffee and charm is now choking under the weight of its own popularity. Let's start with the daily grind. Traffic has become a nightmare. The Monash Freeway and CityLink are now so congested that peak hour feels like it never ends. Some commuters report spending over 2 hours a day just getting to and from work. And public transport? The trains are standing room only, if they show up on time at all. Melbourne's outer suburbs are growing at breakneck speed, but infrastructure isn't keeping up. New estates are popping up with no nearby schools, limited public transport, and under-equipped hospitals. And the housing market? Brutal. Rent prices have skyrocketed by over 50% in some inner-city areas, and even outer suburbs like Tarneit, Cranbourne and Werribee are now packed and pricey. Then there's the toll on daily life. Long queues at medical centres, full classrooms, packed supermarkets, and rising stress levels across the board. Locals are starting to question, is the Melbourne dream still real, or is it turning into a daily hustle? Even the city's famous laneways and artsy corners are now crowded with tourists, locals, and noise. The charm is still there, but it's harder to find. Now get ready, because the most overcrowded city in Australia is still to come. And you probably already know which one it is. Number 1, Sydney. Welcome to Sydney, the crown jewel of Australia, and its most overcrowded city in 2025. It's beautiful, it's iconic, it's globally loved. But behind the postcard views of the Harbour Bridge and Bondi Beach lies a harsh reality. Sydney is buckling under extreme population pressure. With a population now edging towards 6 million, Sydney has officially hit crisis mode. The roads are packed, the trains are overflowing, and housing? Practically unaffordable for the average person. Let's talk rent. In many inner suburbs, a basic 2-bedroom apartment will now cost you over $800 a week. Even outer suburbs like Blacktown and Campbelltown are out of reach for young families. The rental market is so competitive, some tenants are offering 12 months' rent up front just to secure a place to live. Commuters spend hours each day in traffic, while trains and buses are bursting at the seams. Getting a seat is a luxury. Sometimes just getting on at all is a miracle. Schools are at full capacity. Hospitals are overwhelmed. And everyday errands, like grocery shopping or finding a parking spot, feel like major life missions. Despite massive investments in infrastructure, Sydney just can't keep up with the demand. The result? A city where opportunity meets stress and beauty meets burnout. Locals are beginning to wonder, is the Sydney lifestyle still worth it? Or is it time to look beyond the skyline for something quieter, simpler, and less congested? Sydney may still be Australia's biggest and brightest city, but right now it's also the most overcrowded. So, there you have it, 10 Australian cities that are completely overcrowded in 2025. From coastal escapes like the Sunshine Coast to mega hubs like Sydney and Melbourne, the pattern is clear. More people, same infrastructure, and a growing sense of pressure in places once considered peaceful. Overcrowding isn't just about traffic and housing. It's about quality of life, mental health, and whether our cities can truly support the dreams we attach to them. Many Australians are now asking the same question. Is this the lifestyle we signed up for? But here's the thing. Recognising the problem is the first step toward finding a solution. And while these challenges are real, they're not unbeatable. In the next section, let's explore what can actually be done, not just by governments, but by individuals and communities looking to reclaim balance in their lives. Because even in the busiest cities, there's still hope for better. Fixing overcrowding isn't just about building more roads or throwing up more apartment blocks. It's about rethinking how we grow as a country. Here are several key solutions that could help Australia turn the tide. Encouraging population growth in regional towns and smaller cities is essential. With proper investment in jobs, healthcare, education and high-speed internet, people won't feel forced to move into already crowded metro areas. We need to build up, not just out. That means sustainable high-density housing near transport hubs, green spaces and essential services. Smart cities use data and design to optimize space and reduce congestion. Improving and expanding public transport networks can dramatically ease road traffic. Cities like Melbourne and Brisbane need more trains, trams and buses, and they need to run more frequently. Introducing rent caps, social housing and incentives for developers to build affordable units can help balance the housing market and give locals a fair shot. If companies support remote and hybrid work, people don't have to live near CBDs. This alone can ease pressure on transport systems and inner-city housing. While overcrowding is a complex issue, a mix of innovation, policy and people power can steer Australian cities toward a more livable future for everyone. We put our heart into every second of this video. Now it's your turn. What's your take on Australia's economic future? Drop it in the comments. We genuinely want to hear from you. Don't miss our previous video. It's packed with insights that connect perfectly with this one. And if you found this valuable, support us with just one click. Subscribe now and help us keep creating content that matters.